What's up, everyone? I hope you're doing well. So, I had no trades today, but I do have an important lesson that I want to share, not from my own trading, but sort of from seeing how a setup works multiple times over and over and how that affects your trading afterwards, as well as I want to mention float rotation and why it's important for people not to short too early, especially on low floats with high volume. So first thing I want to say is when you see this stock up in pre-market, let's say you see it at 260. Never should you be thinking this is a short, okay? This came up from 2, it's at 260 in pre-market. It's already not a short. Like it's barely up, you know? It needs more upside to make a short higher odds. Second of all, you look in the history. There is no volume. This is the 1-year chart. There's absolutely no volume in the past here. I mean, there was volume, yes, but not significant volume. Like there's this tiny bar here. It's not significant volume. So what you want to do is you want to look out further in its history. So here you have one that's about 10, 11 million shares of volume on this day. That's not enough to want to short into, okay? So already it's telling you it's not really that great. Then you look at this resistance here. It's around 20 million shares, so it's getting to a sort of a higher odds place. But then if you zoom in on this day to kind of gauge what happened, you'll see that, okay, it had 18 million shares, and it topped in the 11 area. This stock is at 2 in pre-market, let's say 260. The 11 area has nothing to do with the current stock price. So like it's going to take a lot of volume in order for it to get there. So most likely by the time it gets to the 11 area, it would need more than that 20 million shares of volume that we saw previously over there. So based on all this, already I come into the day saying, okay, this is not really one of my setups, so I'm going to stay on the sidelines and hopefully something pops up and shows me what to do. So one thing I did here is in Dux's chat room, I wrote at 11:05 a.m. as long as 450 doesn't stuff hard, AKTX is still intact. I was formulating this sort of idea based on the fact that there's no volume with heavy resistance in the past, and that this is a low float, and that 450 is a $0.50, so that sort of level tends to be important to some traders. But let's see what time I said it. So I said that at 11:05. If we zoom in here, here's 11:06 a.m. So I said it right here in this candle. 11:05 a.m. the stock was at 442. All right, and what I said was, as long as 450 doesn't stuff hard, this is still intact. So this thing was under 450, and some people took that as, look, it cracked under 450 here. We can zoom in a little more. You see that it bottomed right here. And then some people took it as, okay, this is a support level, bottomed here again. Here it tried to bottom and bounced. And then once it cracked it, all the shorts were piling in here. But I still saw that it's not rejecting 450 hard. I wanted to see, like, see this green candle? I wanted to see this in the opposite direction. That tells me that, hey, the pattern might be reversing here. So this consolidation here basically tells you nothing. It rejected 450, but what did it get to? 435, like nothing. It's nothing to scare anybody out, you know. And also, it didn't give shorts an ideal place to exit if they shorted here in the threes. Let's say they're trying to break even. If it just holds up here, they don't get an exit. So that's what kind of causes this. And then you also see the volume coming in. So I said that at 11:05. So right before it reclaimed 450, and it ripped pretty nicely straight to 530 in 3 minutes. So what did I then write? We see here at 11:07, now tested 535 2 minutes later. So this thing was pretty crazy. It's happened before. I see it all the time. Some people were saying it was like manipulation. It is manipulation to an extent, but a lot of it has to do with how many shorts were in this setup It has to do with the amount of shares that are publicly available, which is the float, and it also has to do with the volume traded on the day. By the time we were here, like this whole time, it was like, let's say here, it wasn't up enough to want to short. And then in this area, still it's not up enough because remember 11s had the resistance. So this whole area here, it's just telling you it's not a good short. By the time it was here, you could start making the case, okay, it's up 150%, let me start shorting, stuff like that. But the thing is, again, no resistance with heavy volume, and you're shorting like going into midday. This thing is holding. It didn't give any sign to crack. So, that's just kind of what happens here. So what you can do from this is you can, if you shorted and cut losses, good. If you shorted and didn't cut losses, you should. And if you made money after being down big, that might be a bad lesson. So you want to reevaluate that and make sure like you know what you're sort of taking away from this trade. So what I said about that is careful shorting, float rotation plays. Learn how to recognize short traps before short selling. So that's a short trap, and I wanted to show you, like, this is a short trap. It cracked under $0.50. It's a key level. People think that's it, the stock is done, but no, it didn't crack hard enough, and it reclaimed very easily, ripstick the other way, and you don't really get a chance to cut losses. If you went to go to the bathroom real quick, that's it, you're down. And it's a very difficult game at that point once you're past your risk. If you're unable to, let's say you were risking on 5 and you come back and see this thing at 560, you should still cut losses. You should not take that as, let me just wait, maybe it'll come back down, because you're past your risk and your plan is there for a reason. So with that plan, it's usually based on things you've experienced in the past, and for that reason, you need to stick to your plan. It can be adapted, but the plan is there for a reason. It was before your emotions were playing a role in the trading, and you wrote it out because you know that if you stick to this plan, the odds for your success are a certain given amount based on your spreadsheets, let's say. So that's my sort of ramble and setups I focus on. This is just my first YouTube video, and it shows the 3 setups that I short, so you can go check that out. So yeah, also if you know somebody that's I want to finish up on this. If you know somebody that's like short a stock like this, and maybe they were shorting here in the 3s, and then they come to you like telling you for advice, let's say, what do I do? And they're down maybe 50%. You should never like go into the situation bashing their trade, telling them like what were they thinking. Like by this point they know they're wrong. They know they lost. They're coming to someone for advice. You need to try to talk them out of it. Maybe give them advice like, you're not comfortable with this setup. You haven't tested it before, so maybe you should focus on something else. Maybe you should just cut losses and reevaluate, stuff like that. But you never want to go into it bashing them, because then it could like add fuel to the fire and just make things worse. That being said, have a great day. Thank you for watching my video, and I hope you stay safe with these shorts, these short squeezes. Float rotation, it's very important. I know I didn't explain it fully, and that's really not my job, but if you want a better explanation, you can check out people on YouTube. Dux has videos. Tim has videos. Float rotation, it's basic in which the sense that if the float is rotating, like for example here it says 15 million float, 56 million shares traded today. Already the float rotated. That means when the volume is more than the float, it's float rotating. To simplify it, don't short when that happens. That's it. That's basically summing it down. Don't short. Thank you. Have a great day.